2019. The seminar is raising the topics of graduate employability, entrepreneurship, marketing and branding, and industry collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, the Applied Higher Education Exchange is a professional seminar for higher education leaders that showcases international best practices in the areas of improving graduate employability, entrepreneurship, branding and marketing, and industry collaboration, as well as the applied higher education rating system to recognize quality and drive improvement. The event format promotes an open exchange of views between the audience and international speakers, promoting mutual learning, understanding, and professional networking. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a quick word about today's agenda. We shall begin with singing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. The next items are the welcoming remarks by the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta and the CEO and founder of the Applied Higher Education Singapore. These are followed by the main item of today's agenda. They are the presentation sessions by the invited speakers. And at the end, we have the closing remarks, again, by the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs and the CEO and founder of the Applied Higher Education. Distinguished guests, all participants, ladies and gentlemen, please be silent and bow our heads for a moment to say a prayer. Let's say a prayer, shall we? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, singing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Distinguished guests, all participants, and ladies and gentlemen are kindly requested to rise. Please be seated. Now we are going to hear an opening remark from the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Professor Dr. Margana M. Hum, MA. The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. The honorable plenary speakers, Mrs. Mandi Mok, the Chief Executive Officer and the founder of Applied Higher Education from Singapore, Professor Aaron Yan Min Ren, Vice President for Research and Development of Chinese Culture from University of Taiwan, Dr. Annalisa Akombo, Director of Center for Quality Management, Director of Guidance and Counseling Center from Lady of Fatima University of Philippines, Dr. Muhammad Afzal, Director of Quality Enhancements from University of Lahore, Pakistan, Mr. Peter Steck, Chief of Analysts Applied Higher Education from Singapore, Dr. Paryono, Deputy Director of Siamio Vocational Technology from Brunei, Professor Matthias van Royen from University of Applied Science, Europe, Germany, Mrs. Jenny Hadberg, Director of International Nanyang Technological University of Singapore, Vice Rectors, all of deans, heads of institutes, distinguished presenters, participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us thank God, the Almighty, for granting all means and opportunities together here to attend this very fruitful, tremendous seminar on Indonesia exchange hosted by Yogyakarta State University in collaboration with Applied Higher Education. It is greatly honored and pleased for me, representing the Rector of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Professor Dr. Sutrisno Wibowo MPD, to welcome all of you to Yogyakarta State University to join the seminar held at video conference of Digital Library. Distinguished speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is evident that this seminar is labeled the Applied Higher Education Indonesia Exchange as professional seminar for higher education leaders or for school and university management leaders, which accentuate on international best practices as rendered in the form of showcase presentation in the area of the enhancements of graduate employability, entrepreneurship, branding and marketing, and industry collaboration, as well as the applied higher education rating system to trigger university management leaders to be aware of the improvement of academic and non-academic services to generate qualified and competitive graduates. This seminar, therefore, is aimed at promoting intensive ties across universities to be engaged in mutual learning, mutual understanding, and professional networking enhancements. In other words, university leaders, school advisors, scholars, lecturers, researchers, and practitioners are provided a forum to intensively share ideas under the topic mentioned and to make a collaboration across institutions and across countries. In reference to the above objectives, Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta is keen on responding to the above issues. That is why the seminar topic today focuses on 4 issues, namely graduate employability, entrepreneurship, marketing and branding, and industry collaboration, which are presented by prominent speakers, such as Mrs. Mandi Mok. Would you like to stand up? Let us give her a big applause. The second one is Professor Aaron Yan Min Ren, right, on the way. Thank you. Dr. Annalisa Akombo, would you like to stand up? Thank you very much. Dr. Muhammad Afzal, all the way. Mr. Peter Steck, would you like to stand up? Thank you very much. Dr. Paryono, thank you. Mrs. Jenny Hadberg, thank you. And Professor Matthias van Royen in the schemes of video conference. In this opportunity, I would like to warmly express many thanks to them all. Added to this, it is unwise not to appreciate all delegates and participants from a great number of universities who have managed to come to Universitas Yogyakarta to attend to this seminar. I do hope that this conference will bring benefits to all the participants in this conference and contribute to the upbringing of the scientific life. Distinguished invited speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a event that this seminar could not have been made possible without any help from many parties, including the chair of the committee and the committee members, delegates from many institutions and others, including Applied Higher Education from Singapore. Therefore, I should appreciate their work and dedication and express many thanks to them all. I do apologize for any shortcomings which you might find during this seminar. Finally, I wish you gain a fruitful and pleasant forum and enjoy yourself during your stay in Yogyakarta. With the great word of Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, it is a pleasure for me to declare the official opening of the Applied Higher Education Indonesia Exchange in 2019, hosted by Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta in collaboration with Applied Higher Education from Singapore. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now I would like to invite the CEO and founder of the Applied Higher Education from Singapore for the next opening remark. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Mandy Mook.
Good morning. Morning, everyone. State University of Yogyakarta, Vice Rector Dr. Magana, international speakers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all of you for joining us for this inaugural AppliedHE exchange here in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Allow me to express my deep gratitude to the UNY Rector for stepping forward to host this event here at the UNY campus in Yogyakarta. And also allow me to express my thanks to the many international speakers here today who have traveled from around the world to share their experiences. And of course, my sincere appreciation to all fellow Indonesians who have traveled from all over the country to attend the inaugural launch of AppliedHE. Thank you very much. A number of you may know me from my previous position as CEO of QS Asia Quacquarelli Simmons. I worked at QS for 17 years until resigning from my position at the end of June this year. When I started at QS almost 2 decades ago, it was virtually an unknown brand, and university rankings were received with a mix of curiosity, indifference, and at times outright hostility. But times have changed dramatically, and the university rankings have now gained a prominent position, arguably too prominent in the higher education field. Every institution wants to be in the rankings because to be ranked is to exist. And universities love to pick the rankings in which they excel most and use that for their marketing and public relations. Common sense, and it's exactly what I would do too. Being ranked and being highly ranked is like a free gift that gets you a huge amount of free and positive publicity. So rankings performance matters, and being against the rankings is like being against smartphones. It's a surefire way to be left behind. However, what we will present to you today is a rating, not a ranking. And the goal behind the new AppliedHE job rating system, that's the new name for the new strategy, is twofold. One, it is to provide an alternative perspective on academic excellence that is less focused on research and more on employability, industry collaboration, and excellence in teaching and learning. This will help universities whose research activities are still developing and institutions which prioritize teaching and learning over research. In many parts of the world, applied higher education, vocational institutions, and polytechnics are often seen as the second choice, and we want to change that perspective. Our ambition is to rebrand this sector and call it professional education. And for many students, a practical, career-focused, skills-based course is exactly what they need to get started on the career ladder. The second goal of AppliedHE is to help institutions that do perform research and aspire to excel in the rankings. The part of the rankings that you can really influence as the management of an institution are reputation, internationalization, and industry collaboration. Reputation, which is 50% in the QS World University rankings and 30% in the THE rankings, is something an institution can improve on relatively quickly through strategic marketing and outreach. Internationalization is something that can be improved on relatively quickly as well by establishing international partnerships. And industry collaboration is an opportunity that for many institutions is waiting to be seized and which can quickly boost performance. So if an institution boosts its reputation, reaches out to international peers and industry partners, it stands to reason that its rankings performance will improve. And AppliedHE aims to help you do that exactly. Today, everyone is talking about employability, employability, employability. That means that this is the right time to shift the narrative on higher education. It's no longer just about research-intensive universities and the Ivy Leagues or Oxbridge. It is about employability. We want to shine the spotlight on institutions that excel in preparing their graduates for promising careers, which means it will include the hundreds of thousands of more humble institutions who do an excellent job at serving their society and economy. These institutions are far more meaningful for a great number of students. So what if Oxford ranks #1 in the world for 4 years running? How many of the world's high school graduates will actually get there? A negligible number. So in that sense, Oxford does not matter. Local institutions who serve their local communities well are the real backbone of the global higher education system. How do you achieve employability? Survey after survey tells us that you achieve this by teaching graduates the right skills and nurturing the right attitude. In higher education, knowledge is no longer power because all knowledge is available on the internet today. Knowledge has stopped to be exclusive. It is the application of knowledge, a skill, which is what matters in the world of Industry 4.0. And this is why we are AppliedHE, Applied Higher Education. And our tagline is skills-based employment focus, because that is what matters in today's world. Now, none of what I have described is easy. It is exactly the opposite. It is very difficult. Teaching the right skills and nurturing the right attitude in graduates is a constant struggle. Executing a successful marketing, internationalization, and industry engagement strategy is not easy. Boosting rankings performance is difficult. But we at AppliedHE have the strategies and solutions, and we can help. First of all, we want to shift the narrative on academic excellence towards employability by measuring it better through the AppliedHE job rating systems. And second, we want to create a buzz around employability and the institutions that excel in this area, similarly to what the World Universities rankings have achieved. People love sports, a competition, and that is the kind of excitement that rankings and ratings can provide. Third, we want to help institutions promote themselves and connect with global peers and industry. And so we will help you to step up by providing a pathway for quality improvement and highly effective solutions and strategies to meet every indicator of every global higher education ranking agency out there. My team members have a long and successful track record in the field of university ratings and rankings, internationalization, and global branding. our mission is to promote skills-based, employment-focused education and to support particularly those universities and colleges that emphasize teaching and industry collaboration. And so, without further ado, I will present to you an exciting new strategy, a new brand. Two screens. And the new brand is, of course, AppliedHE. And now, it is time. It is time for a new concept in higher education. It is time for an independent and international higher education rating system that recognizes excellence in employability, industry collaboration, and teaching and learning. It is time for a suite of services that accelerates your institution's global marketing and branding presence. It is time for a new perspective on international partnerships and collaboration that includes industry and that includes It is time for a new perspective on international partnerships and collaboration that includes industry and other stakeholders. It is time for the new kid on the block. That's us. So, let me just do a quick introduction of myself. I've already mentioned I've been with QS for the last 17 years, and I have contributed significantly to its global branding and brand equity. I have monetized the rankings and created many memorable products and events like QS Apple, which just happened last week. I'm sure some of you have been there. QS Maple, QS Worldwide, World Class, etc. I've also created many first-of-its-kind activities like the Creative Awards, the QS Golf Tournaments, the QS Tennis Friendlies, and much more. And my background, I've been in the creative industry since the day I left school. So what I have done for QS, I will do even better for AppliedHE. It is now my hobby. AppliedHE gives you a new perspective on higher education. And the definition of AppliedHE applies to any skills-based, employment-focused tertiary education programs where students are prepared for a clearly defined job or occupational pathway. We distinguish ourselves from other generalist higher education as they generally have no clear career pathway. And AppliedHE is aimed at evaluating professional education such as engineering, nursing, medicine, law, accounting. Basically, any program that involves industry collaboration will fall under this new brand, AppliedHE, regardless of whether it is for universities or professional institutions. And the mission of AppliedHE is designed to help universities to communicate with your stakeholders, engage with your international peers, industry, and government, and brand your institution worldwide, including improving in the rankings. The great concerns over graduates not being able to get a job after they graduate, and so AppliedHE is aptly created to meet the needs and support the advancement of Asian universities. It is a bold move for the government of Indonesia to appoint someone from the industry. I think you know he's the co-founder and former CEO of Gojek, to head the Ministry of Education in the recent election, with the hope of disrupting the education system of Indonesia, which is highlighted as the main cause of talent scarcity. Would you not agree to that? I got this from your newspaper, actually. And recently, Tun M. Mahathir of Malaysia also emphasized the importance of skills-based, employment-focused education, even for research-intensive universities, because there are many well-educated graduates out there, but they can't find a job. But obviously, there are great challenges as well, starting with the credibility of programs. So having a reliable and independent rating system is clearly a necessity now. Although this is referring to the many professional schools out there, it also applies to universities as programs are getting more and more TVET or vocational structured to suit the needs of today's industries. So after leaving QS, we've been pretty busy. With our years of experience in successful innovation, we have created many tools and strategies to help universities with all their objectives, whatever they may be. We have created the applied job rating system. We call our ratings jobs to differentiate from others. Imagine you are rated 4 jobs, 5 jobs. Doesn't the connotation sound positive? Plus, it is also appropriate as our emphasis is all about employability. The applied job ratings are applicable for universities, professionals, which is skill-based education, which goes by many names, TVETs, polytechnics, vocational, etc. And as I mentioned just now, we aim to rebrand this sector as professional education to improve the image. And it is also suitable for business schools and even online education. Next, we have a whole suite of events to help you with global branding and internationalization. I'll go into that later, but briefly introducing now, it's called Regional Exchange, Cluster Subject Exchange, Fireside Exchange. I will go into more details later. And we have the AppliedHE membership, where we will help you build a community and also to increase your institution's visibility throughout the whole year. And of course, we will be launching the AppliedHE website, which we aim to make it the mother of all websites, for want of a better word, for the education sector. Think Amazon, Lazada, Taobao. AppliedHE is the Amazon for education. So let's start with our new and creative job rating system. It is so versatile that it can be tweaked to fit, as I mentioned earlier, universities, professional institutions, business school, and even online education, which is totally a virgin space in terms of regulation. Here's the new perspective, the creative twist. We do not do a rating of your institution per se. We rate your institution based on your programs by employment cluster, according to the International Standard Industrial Classification, meaning we can now bring a spotlight to your every program, whether it's big or small. Currently, there is no marketing tool in the market to help you achieve this. So, for example, if you look at healthcare, we will just promote the employment cluster called healthcare, and along that goes with it are all your programs there, regardless of whether it's big or small. So everything gets the limelight, the global limelight. We recognize that people identify the industry they want to be in first before looking at the program or institution they want to study in, and the same goes for employers who choose institutions to collaborate with. Here's 22 employment cluster that is adapted from the International Standard Industrial Classification. It covers all sectors of the economy, and the list is growing daily as the world is changing so fast that there are many jobs today that never existed in the past. Let me introduce you the applied job rating criteria. We have developed a number of indicator groups under these 3 pillars: outcome, delivery, and institutional context. And they can be tweaked for any sector, be it universities, professional, the business schools, and online education. Now, the applied job rating system is very easy to implement. Institutions just need to make sure that stakeholders respond to our surveys. Ratings are valid for 3 years and are highly effective as a branding and quality improvement tool to excel in the rankings, for student recruitment, for collaboration, funding, etc., etc. I'll just go very briefly into what we measure, and my colleague Peter will go into the details later this afternoon. So under outcome of the program, you will be able to have access to information pertaining to issues like graduate reputation, employability, remuneration, advancement, and entrepreneurship. Likewise, under delivery of the employment cluster, you will have access to information like teaching and learning, faculty quality, student industry exposure, intercultural competence, international exposure. And under the 3rd pillar, we will evaluate your institution and look at issues like institutional reputation, inclusiveness and accessibility, applied research, community engagement. The AppliedHE job rating is done primarily by surveys to your stakeholders, and they are your students, faculty, employers, and alumni. We only require the basics from your institutional data, as we understand there is a data submission fatigue with a couple of ranking agencies out there. So ours is really relatively easy to get data. Once rated, you will be presented with the AppliedHE Job Ratings badge, and you can use this on all your marketing materials. The Applied Job Ratings are awarded by employment cluster, and the country of origin is clearly stated so that stakeholders are clear on the market that they serve. Indonesians institutions can score from 1 to 5 jobs, with 5 representing the best institutions, and the rating badges are valid for 3 years. Job-rated institutions will also receive a certificate listing the score and all the evaluated programs. So this means even your smallest program will be able to share the global limelight. And of course, you can use the Applied Job Rating certificate in all your marketing materials. So being Applied Job Rated offers institutions an advantage over their international competition. It will also reflect to the world at large that your programs and students are ready for the world. The job ratings will enable your institution to be authoritative. Why? Because our rating methodology is based on recommendations endorsed by the ILO and UNESCO. The Applied Job Ratings is sustainable, as a number of our rating criteria overlap with the Sustainable Development Goals. We are also on a mission to create a more equal, accessible, and sustainable economy. Being job rated also signals that your students are Industry 4.0 ready. Skills-based education, especially the so-called soft skills, are critical for Industry 4.0 employability, and the AppliedHE job ratings also looks at evaluating students' soft skills. And on the global front, this is the first international higher education rating system born in ASEAN, which is perfect as ASEAN includes economies at a variety of development levels, making it a microcosm of the global economy. And the following unique features place the AppliedHE job rating system in a class of its own. The rating criteria is unique because it is designed to measure the quality of teaching and learning, industry training, industry collaboration, and employability. These are areas that are highly valued by students, employers, and society at large. Rating by employment cluster is unique because we recognize the complexity of institutions and the differences between industries. Hence, our ratings are produced by employment cluster. Students and employers often choose institutions based on the industry they serve, making ratings by employment cluster the most meaningful for all stakeholders. Our brand value is unique because the AppliedHE brand is aimed at students who see education primarily as a pathway to a successful career. An AppliedHE job rating sends a clear message to this student demographic who work hard, are willing to invest in their education, and have the attitude and skills that employers need. Our actionable insight is unique because the AppliedHE job rating system has a built-in quality improvement system, and the rating report contains a wealth of insights, including areas that stakeholders think they need to improve on. So we're actually producing market intelligence for you as well. Pathway to Partnerships and AppliedHE job rating is an admission ticket to the exclusive AppliedHE network of events and media, which are invaluable for developing international and industry academic partnerships. Now let me tell you more about our exchange events. Our conferences and events go under the unified brand called Exchange. Exchanges of ideas, students, research collaboration, networking, etc., you get the rationale, right? And we have 3 different concepts. The regional exchange, where the presentation is in the form of conferences and exhibitions, that's a lot bigger. Cluster or subject exchange, where the presentation is in the form of seminars and workshops, relatively smaller. And fireside exchange. This is ideal for topical seminars. Now, ratings are just the beginning. We understand issues like student recruitment, careers, employer stakeholders engagement, quality improvement, and internationalization. They're all very important to you, and that is why we will create a community for you. So we'll help you build a community with our series of events, again, the first of its kind in this sector and a unique feature of AppliedHE. The regional exchange, where the presentation is in the form of conferences and exhibition, it applies to any region. So if it's in Asia, it will be known as Asia Exchange, and if it's in Europe, it will be known as Europe Exchange or Middle East Exchange, etc. It can also go by country, so we can have an Indonesian exchange. You can take advantage of learning the best practices by attending or hosting these events. The subject or cluster exchange, where the presentation is in the form of seminars and workshops, so this event can be more focused on the individual subject, or it can be by employment cluster if you want to broaden the subject offerings. And fireside exchange is for any topic. Example, an event featuring SDGs, social development goals, will draw a lot of attention, as this is the current buzzword in most universities today. Whether you attend or host any of these events, it will definitely allow you to network and brand your institution on the international arena. Our website, theappliedhe.com, will feature the whole education business from A to Z. As mentioned earlier, we aim to be the Amazon for education. So for the website, our first task is to launch the exchange B2B. What this does is to help you to continue to network and interact online after attending our events. You will be able to use your Exchange B2B account to connect to our events, receive news and information, post vacancies, even job vacancies can be posted there, receive product information, connect with other users, and to update your institutional profile on AppliedHE.com, and this website is promoted throughout the whole world. We aim to make attending our events, getting in contact with peers and colleagues, and taking advantage of our online services as seamless as possible. Next, we also aim to launch the Exchange B2C to help you to connect with students, parents, and alumni. Initially, once it's launched next year, the website will start featuring the rating results, an AppliedHE news service, and study advice for students and parents. In time, we plan to add other services, including student housing, travel, scholarships, internships, financing options, etc. You name it, whatever you want to put out there for your students, alumni, this is the website to go to. Now, it makes sense to go with any rating agency or company that is very active on the ground, so that you will also benefit from the dynamic momentum and exposure. Maximize your brand association with us. You can see how active we are. It's not even next year yet, and we have already all these cities, countries lined up. Now, the list on the left are all the exchange events that we have already lined up for our exchange, our AppliedHE launch, which is what's happening today. And as you can see, we intend to gain market share fairly quickly. So where to start? Good question. Participate in our pilot launch now. After the launch, the cost is 48,000, still very competitive. But now, as a pilot, we're only charging 20,000. But Park Rector of UNY has kindly negotiated a very exclusive price for all Indonesian institutions, and it is just $10,000. And the AppliedHE job rating will last you for a good 3 years, a great marketing tool to showcase your excellence to your stakeholders. To maximize the branding and visibility of your institution, we encourage your institution to be an AppliedHE member. As I mentioned, we will build the community for you. As this is a pilot launch, we aim to have the official launch in the first quarter of 2020, and we are offering free membership in 2020 only if you commit to our pilot rating project at the very special preferential rate of just $10,000, and that is valid for 3 years. The price is for all your employment cluster and for every program. Free membership ensures global brand exposure through the AppliedHE events, media, and websites, complimentary or preferred access to AppliedHE seminars, conferences, and exhibitions, membership of a global community of like-minded professionals with whom to network, share best practices, and catch emerging trends. So this is definitely a very affordable price for worldwide branding and publicity. As I mentioned again, ratings last for 3 years, but the membership is renewable every year, and next year is completely complimentary. So how do you benefit from joining us? What is your ROI? You will enjoy a great community with our several platforms and with a synergy that overlaps one another to support you and promote you all year round. We have the ratings, which is a great marketing tool. We have the events and networking, which are great platforms to have that physical face time, and the website, great technology to get you connected with the world. All these will form a community for you to tap on, whether it's for rankings, for student recruitment, collaboration, networking, etc. We will facilitate and support you throughout the whole year. And it does not matter that you are representing a university or a professional establishment, business school, or online. We will be able to create an event, a campaign, etc., catered to your specific structure and needs. As a marketing message, you will let your target audience know in just a few words that you are excellence in skill-based, employment-focused higher education. This is our tagline, as you can see in all our marketing materials, skill-based, employment-focused. So being part of AppliedHE amplifies your brand internationally, and it is immediately understood that your programs help students get good jobs. For institutions interested to improving in the rankings, AppliedHE media and events will help you to build your global reputation and do so in a highly effective and economical way. Once you're job rated by AppliedHE, you will be able to carry our brand and the values it stands for, which is global, independent, and excellence in skill-based, employment-focused higher education. Combine that with your own brand values, and you will find that they're highly complementary with the AppliedHE brand. It is a message your stakeholders will understand loud and clear. Another unique feature of being AppliedHE job rated is the kind of information we are able to collect from your stakeholders, which are very relevant to your strategies, your future plans, your KPIs, etc., etc. It is market intelligence that you do not have to pay a hefty sum for, and it comes as part of the ratings. This means you may not have to engage in consultancy projects, which can be very costly. It is all part of our effort to help you stretch your budget as much as possible. What about these guys? Don't ignore them. They are important because they offer a free platform for you to shine on the global stage. But how to look good with them? You'll be pleased to know that we provide the solutions and strategies to meet every criteria and indicator in the rankings, not just the QS rankings, but the THE as well. This is a one-page document listing the AppliedHE solutions for every indicator of the QS World University Rankings, and we have the solution and strategy for each and every indicator. Same goes for the THE World University Rankings. Again, we have the solutions to meet their every criteria. Why no rankings yet? Now, the rankings are on the table, but not for now, because we don't want to be distracted from the ratings. There is also limited public and worldwide information to measure the criteria that we value, but we hope in time to come, with all the surveys that we have conducted with the job ratings, we will be able to garner enough information to produce a robust rankings. So for now, think of the job ratings as a great marketing tool, and we will provide the platform and means for you to tell your story to the world. A lot of people are confused between rankings and ratings, so let me just restate. The rankings is a barometer of relative academic excellence, meaning there is only one winner, right? There's only a number one and a number two, etc. A rating also measures excellence, but it is first and foremost a marketing tool to showcase excellence. In a rating, there can be many more winners. Therefore, a rating can help an institution improve its visibility, which will eventually translate into ranking success or any other missions or objective that you may desire. I think this is the best analogy between these two words. So, AppliedHE in a nutshell, what is it? It is a rating system that views higher education primarily as a pathway to employment and a system that supports industry research. It is a brand that represents excellence in skill-based, employment-focused higher education. And our approach to higher education, we combine observation, which is the job ratings, with action, which are all our solutions, in areas like quality improvement, branding, marketing, professional networking, industry engagement, etc., etc. And that is how we can help all institutions shine on the global stage, regardless of whether you're big or small. We aim to build strong brand values for an institution's core stakeholders. For your students, the AppliedHE is the trusted brand name for employment. For employers, the brand represents that graduates from an AppliedHE job-rated institution is employment ready. For governments, applied job-rated institutions contribute to the country's social and economic values. And for the alumni, the AppliedHE brand represents lifelong learning support. And for the academia, the brand represents excellence in learning and engagement with industry and employers. So the AppliedHE is indeed a meaningful brand for all your stakeholders. And why should you give us a chance to help you? Because this idea was born out of ASEAN, so we understand you better. Because together, with me and my colleagues, we have more than 30 years of experience in this industry, and I have contributed significantly to building the QS brand from scratch. Because rankings and ratings shape the behavior of your stakeholders. So if we make the ratings better and more reliable and robust, we will have better institutions, more satisfied employers, and happier alumni, and so we will make the world a better place. I sound like Trump, don't I? And again, to reiterate, we are the new kid on the block, so please give us a chance to blossom. We appreciate your support. Our official launch is on the 1st of January 2020, that's very soon, in a couple of weeks. So next year will be an exciting year. I thank you very much for your attention.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as an expression of gratitude and appreciation, the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, accompanied by Vice Rector for Personnel and Financial Affairs, Vice Rector for Student Alumni Affairs, Vice Rector for Planning and Cooperation Affairs, would like to present the tokens to the speakers. So let me invite Ms. Mandy Mook, Professor Aaron Yanmin Ren, Dr. Analisa P. Ocampo, Dr. Muhammad Afzal, Mr. Peter Steck, Dr. Paryono, and Ms. Jenny Hedberg to come forward. would you please stay for the photo session? Thank you, and please be seated. We are now in the presentation sessions, and chairing the sessions is Mr. Peter Steg. Mr. Peter Steg, would you please take the floor? And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming them.
All right, and now it's my turn to introduce the next speaker, Dr. Paryono, the Deputy Director of CMIO Voktech in Brunei, who will be speaking on education for Industry 4.0, the ASEAN perspective. So Dr. Paryono, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Right away. Very good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi, Sugeng Injang. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. It has been a while, 4 years I haven't visited Yogyakarta, so a lot of changes. So thank you, Ms. Mandy Mo, for inviting me here in front of my colleagues here, my friends, and also, of course, from the Yogyakarta State University, Pak Rector, and also the deputies. Thank you for inviting me to be here, and also all of, actually, my previous bosses here, yeah? The rectors of many of the applied universities from IKIP, from state universities. All of my colleagues and friends, again, I'm here in front of you. I'm not talking about the rating, but I'm talking about the thing that's happening, providing a context that maybe also at the end will relate to what Ms. Mandy just presented. I'm working at the CMU. I think some of you, I think you should know about this. It's a Ministry of Education in 11 countries. They established an organization called CMU, Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organizations. So under 11 countries, we have now 26 centers focusing on different areas. So my expertise, because of TVET, making a bit noise. Since I'm working on TVET, so I'm working at CMIO Voktech, which is a regional center focusing on technical vocational education training. So I've been there for many years, but actually I used to be one of the lecturers at the State University of Malang. I don't know whether anybody from UM. Not yet. Okay, maybe next time. Okay, so I'm here again, like to share with you, providing you a context is very, very important, because I think this is something that is inevitable, that sooner or later the impact of this becomes stronger. And this also relates to what Ms. Mogg mentioned earlier regarding the employability. This again is a key, because even though education itself is very useful, but without providing or offering some kind of good employment or good life in the future, that's, I think, is a big question. So again, my sharing here will be on the context of Industry 4.0 from the ASEAN perspective. But also I would like to share with you in terms of what's happening in every country of ASEAN, of CMIO, but focusing more, I think, on the ASEAN, because CMIO, as you know, is ASEAN plus Timor-Leste. So I just focus more on the ASEAN at this moment. Oh, okay, thank you. But why is not the same as the one on the screen? Yeah, interesting. Okay, let me see. Okay, now not the same times. Okay. Yes. Okay, these are the 4 topics that I'd like to share with you. The first one is on the regional perspective and initiative in education in response to Industry 4.0. I think everyone's talking about it, and I just went around to the regions to see what is happening in every member countries, and as you see, every country has different responses to this. The second one, I'd like just to give you very brief, because this is still in progress, about the national level of initiative in education in response to Industry 4.0. Then the next one is the framework of Education 4.0. This is something as kind of proposal, whether we need to have a framework. Because as you know, I think in the Industry 4.0, there is very clear chart, clear framework. What's the difference between Industry 1, 2, 3, 4? In education, should we spell this out? Should we describe it so that we know how to react, how to respond? And then focus on the more specific, the one that we are working at, or we are dealing with, which is the impact of Industry 4.0 on applied higher education and TVET. And the last one, I don't know whether my conclusion is good enough, but I just try to summarize this, and then what would be the recommendation that we need to be done, and also related to the ranking. But as the person working at the regional center in TVET, or in applied education, so really will come with the idea of putting strong emphasis on the employment, industrial collaboration. That so far, I think we have been led by someone that is so focused on the academic, but in a way maybe a little bit lacking or ignoring some part of the employment and also the applied education. So let's start having a tour. So imagine yourself, you're having a tour in this region. Let me just bring you to the very broad perspective in terms of what's happening when it comes to Industry 4.0 and the response in the region. There was a World Economic Forum organized in Malaysia. So World Economic Forum on ASEAN, and there is a big question being asked. Can ASEAN leapfrog in Industry 4.0? Is it going to be a big challenge that at the end we cannot get the benefits, or vice versa? This is a big question that has been addressed by many leaders in the regions. And this is the fact that in ASEAN, 65% are under 35 years of age. So this is, we call it, I think we keep calling this as a demographic bonus, right? Will this bonus become reality, or this become a disaster? So this is the thing that we need to work together. Majority of those are millennials, meaning it should be, what you call it, like a technology-oriented. Yeah? So the conclusion at that time, even though this is still a long way to prove, but the conclusion based on the panel is that yes, that we can leapfrog. We can use this Industry 4.0 to offer more employment and also prosperity. But it's not as easy as what it says, because, to tell you the truth, I think when Industry 4.0 comes, the total number of employment normally is less. So how can we work this out? So this is a thing that we can discuss later. But what we are doing is a key, education. Education is the enabler for responding to IR 4.0 through reskilling and upskilling, and the 21st century skill are important for TVET teachers and learners. Let's look at the big picture now. I think maybe some of you are familiar with this, which is, in a way, it's quite frightening. If this Industry 4.0 really happening fast in these regions, these are the expected job displacements. That's why job is very, very crucial, because we don't want to displace our young generation later on for employment. Basically, all countries will be affected. And in fact, Singapore is the highest in terms of percentage. because 21% of the current employment will be displaced if this is happening. This is, as you see, this study is done by Cisco and Oxford Economics, September 2018. So this is expecting what happened by 2028. And ASEAN for all will become 10.2% of the workforce will be displaced, with total of 28 million jobs. So again, when we go around, in Yogyakarta, a very beautiful place, everyone get a job. So do you think that this really happening to all sectors of employment? So let's go more details on this. The next one here is the impact of the employment, and the other one is the impact on the salary. As you can see here, when it comes to salary, actually it's actually I have something over there, but by the way, I have some highlight and explanations. But we can see here that on the right side, those are the increase when it comes to income. So employment improve, but the number of employed people is getting less. So this is something that we need to think of, and you can see the impact for different sectors are different. I think you can see the highest impact will be in the area of business services in terms of percentage. I mean, wait a minute, the highest is, of course, agriculture and mining when it comes to employment. When it comes to salary, actually the highest increase will be in wholesale and retail. You can see on the right side, that is the income effect, and then on the left side is the displacement effect. So depending on the occupations, I think Ms. Mandy Moklet earlier addressing different occupation, which is very, very good. It's not just overall of university, but looking at the sector as well as the occupations. So the next one here is the kind of the positive side, that besides losing jobs, but also will be new occupations will be created. So you can see these are the new employment that we can expect until 2028, that wholesale and retail will produce about 1.8 million. Manufacturing, 1.9 million, constructions, and so on and so forth. So where are we? What kind of program are we offering in our institutions? So we can at least link to this so that, we are not behind the time. Now look at the sector. So earlier we discussed about the economic sector. Now we're looking at the, actually this is my old file. But just to give you an idea. So this one is not industry sectors, but this one is by occupations, occupation type. So please replace if you take a note, the top one. This is not by industry sector, but by occupations, occupation types. So when you look at the occupations, because even though the industry is the same, but when you look at the occupation can start from the managers until the elementary workers. So here you can see also that the changes. So all of those, normally when it comes to employment, it's getting less. But when it comes to salary, also getting higher. So these are the something that we should expect, that something will happen in terms of occupations, because occupation in a way relate to the level of educations. Are we offering at the secondary? Are we offering at the diploma level? Are we offering at polytechnic or university level? So at the end, normally we'll go like this, go up. So the higher the education we offer, then the higher in terms of level of occupations. So let me go to the most recent one. Let me share with you in regards to, this is just very recently that ASEAN organized a summit, organized on the 2nd of November 2019. And these are the declarations they made in response to Industry 4.0. So the first one, I think this is commitment. All of the 10 countries of ASEAN in response to Industry 4.0. The first one is intensify the interaction to support government, academia, industry to accelerate transformations to Industry 4.0, for example, like startups, micro, small, medium enterprises, e-government, smart cities, and vocational education. This is one of the declaration. So vocational education, I put highlight there. This is something related to us. Second, enhance human resource development to catch up on the frontier technologies and innovation by focusing on the upscaling and rescaling of the workforce. So upscaling and rescaling, so we can also training, we can do capacity building, that we can also respond to this, because lifelong learning, I think, is now inevitable. Yeah. The third one is stimulate adoption and diffusion of innovation and technologies through joint research, investments, and development activities, and through knowledge sharing. Number 4 is reaffirm commitment to advance Industry 4.0. And number 5 is enhance cooperations in developing a favorable regulatory framework in support of ASEAN IR 4.0. Address challenges impeding ASEAN industrial advancement. So these are the declarations made by the top leaders in every ASEAN member states as a guideline for the members to follow. The next one, when it comes to education. So what is happening actually when it comes to education in response to Industry 4.0 in this region when we look at the ASEAN level? And this is ASEAN meaning the coordinating body, but not individual country. They have the ASEAN work plan on education 2016 to 2020, so soon will be expired. This include relevant priorities such as strengthening the use of ICT. I think every university is now enhancing the facilities to optimize the use of ICT. Yeah. And one of them is through expansion of ASEAN Cyber University. This is a bit funny. I don't know whether any of you have heard this. ASEAN Cyber University. This one actually located in Korea because they're offering assistance to the ASEAN. So they bring all of the partner universities. They came up with cyber universities. They call it ASEAN Cyber University. It's still new, but this is will be, I think, it's also going fast. The second initiative that at the regional level is among them are advancing ASEAN studies, yeah, and courses at the higher education level through online and cross-border mobility. So I think this is quite trendy right now. About number 1 is about online learning, online courses, and also cross-border mobility, as well as preparing ICT-ready teachers. Because this is our dilemma, Like myself, I'm already old-fashioned, maybe. When the young generations now they're all using technology, so how can we make our teachers ICT-ready? Not the students ready. I'm sure the student is more ready than the teachers, and this is our challenge. So this is one of the point that under ASEAN try to address. The next one here is based on the World Economic Forum again in Malaysia, and what are the key points that everyone need to refer when it comes to education. So these are the things that they basically agree to summarize. These are the key things that we need to bring home and remember and be able to respond. The first one is a mix between traditional education and MOOCs, the massive online course. I think now you can see that many universities offering online course. Some of them are free. So why always in developed countries offering it? Don't we have anything to offer? I'm sure that we have also the strength. We have a lot of things to share. So in the ASEAN level, this is also something that we will highlight, the importance of having MOOCs, so that at the end also they can learn from us. Global identity. This will relate to maybe rating or ranking. When it comes to global identity, based on these discussions that students might be enrolling in different institutions in the future. Maybe take one course or few courses from this university because it's very good in offering that, but maybe other courses they'll take from other universities. So at the end, they feel like, where am I coming from? They feel like a global at the end. Global meaning that not only coming from one university or one country, but can be from several universities or several countries. And this is, again, something that we need to anticipate, that something like this will happen. Smart data, I think everyone also talking about this, that all information now we put in the cloud, and so we have smart data. So at the end, we can customize education and personalize learning for every student. I think everyone's aware we are educators, everyone is unique, and at this moment, the way we treat our students is kind of classical. We treat everyone similar, or maybe the same. But with this technology, by having smart data, we can personalize learning, meaning that we can feed every individual student in different way according to whatever the strength and weakness that the students have. The teaching is not always classical. Some of them, they can select whatever courses, whatever content that is useful for individual students. So this is again also the trend that we need to really think, how can we customize our education so that can fit the individual need of our students. What about management? I think Bapak-Bapak and Ibu-Ibu, you are the rectors and also maybe the deans and department head. In the management also, we cannot avoid, we need to change as well. Innovations and accepting change are now prerequisite for survival. So again, I think the word innovation will happen again and again in Industry 4.0. Education can serve as a strong empowerment and change tool, and that interdisciplinary and collaborations as precondition for innovations. So maybe in the future, we don't offer like one program for the student. They can cross-check and select different subjects. Like in the US, I think this has been happening for a long time. The first year, the student can take different subjects from different departments, different programs, because this is still exploration years. Not like here, from the first year, you need to decide, I will be going to this program. They have orientations, and then at the end, they can declare the major and the second and third year of university. Because again, I think this more and more will be more useful in the future about, selecting courses relevant to every individual student. This is another trend. This is based on the, again, World Economic Forums, the key points that we can bring home. Yeah. The next one is on the reality at this moment. But this is just a small reality that, as we know, and maybe I'm one of them, in terms of programs, even though in the future program maybe will be mixed, but from this study we can see that our programs that we offer at the university, when we try to link it with Industry 4.0, is still mismatched. We produce a lot of graduates in social sciences, business, law, with a very minimum number in engineering, manufacturing, health and welfare, and natural sciences. But when we look at the preparation for Industry 4.0, this one that is lacking actually is very, very crucial. We're talking about quantity at this moment, but I think later we can also improve the quality at the same time. But this is just a reflection based on the study that has been done. So I think we need to do more on this, the other natural sciences, health, and also engineering sides. Let's move on to the next one. And this is, I'll just go to a bit more details in terms of what happened in every member countries of ASEAN. Not all. I didn't put when the country doesn't have any platform or any initiatives or big policies at the national level. And we can see some countries have a long list of initiatives or policies. Others may be still kind of relaxed or lag behind. So let's start with maybe follow alphabetical order. Yeah? Brunei I didn't put because there is no strong initiative as yet. We have conference, forum, but there is no national initiative that really guide us when it comes to Industry 4.0. Cambodia, they have a framework, they call it Industry 4.0 framework. In a way, even though it's not really dedicated for education, but at least they have national framework and education is part of it, but still broad. After Cambodia, let's move to, I think, Indonesia, the next alphabetical order. I don't know whether Bapak and Ibu, you have received this, Making Indonesia 4.0. It's a national planning, and I think it's very, very relevant to look at it. And also there is some document regarding redesign education curriculum under 4.0, Industry 4.0, and then create professional talent mobility program. These are what's happening in Indonesia, but the first one I think is a good umbrella. Yeah? If you can look at the Google and you can download this, Making Indonesia 4.0. You can see what is happening in education and different industry sectors. So after Indonesia, let's move to Malaysia. Malaysia, I think, is already going a little bit deeper than us. Industry 4.0, they have Industry 4WRD, so forward, meaning that is similar to Making Indonesia 4.0. But they have, in higher education, they have My Higher Education 4.0. And also they have Learning and Teaching 4.0. So they already go from the national platform to the university level, and then also at the teaching and learning. So they can describe how should we teach, how should the student learn in this era. Singapore, always you progress very, very fast. Yeah. They have the first policy is about Smart Nation. Service 4.0. Now, if you go to the airport in Singapore, some of them is no workforce. You just deal with computer scanner and then go in, in one of the terminals. But because the client is coming from different places, the different terminal have different level of technology being used. Skill Future initiatives, innovative based curriculum, program for active learning. So these are some of the initiatives in Singapore that has been developed at the national level. So after Singapore, let's go to, sorry, I missed Myanmar. Myanmar is still at the initial stage. They have white paper. So still not really policy implemented, but still a plan, but at least they have something. Yeah? Thailand, they have Thailand 4.0. So, this has been a while. It's a big national agenda, and they have education reform skills. And also, I think education reform and skill development. Last one is Vietnam. They have Industry 4.0 Vietnam survey being completed, and they have national strategy for Industry 4.0. So now this is just to give us an idea that every country responds the Industry 4.0 differently. Some is already far enough, some are still initial stage because they feel like, maybe it's not really important at this moment. I just came back from Cambodia, interviewed some industry players and also some government officials, and the response is also varies. I think that one is still too far away from us, but they have garment industry, and normally the owner of the industry, of course, with a lot of money, and they can bring machinery easily. They can use automation very, very easily. So if this is happening, then the impact, the employment will be very huge. Okay, so let's move on. This is just give you a bit of a glimpse of the development in response to Industry 4.0 in education in different countries. So the next questions, I just put in the question mark here. Do we need Education 4.0 framework? What do you think, Bapak Ibu? Penting atau enggak ini kita punya Industry 4.0 framework? Because industry, you can see the description, the changes of technology phase by phase. But education, do we have it? We can refer to some, they're developing it, but still not really strong, and we don't have it. Indonesia, we don't have this yet. So I think this is maybe a good idea that maybe from the applied university we can start, that we need to develop education 4.0 framework. So that at the end we can spell out, we see the changes from the first industrial revolutions to the fourth in relation to education. So this, oh sorry, I look at my screen but not in there, sorry. Okay, this one, out. Yeah. So do we need to have this so that everyone now have a clear picture in terms of where we are at this moment and what should we do? So we move from the agriculture economy, whereby when it comes to education, a lot of experience with memorizations. And then the second phase, the industrialized economy in the 19th century examples. But I think we can develop better and more relevant to Indonesian context. The third one is knowledge economy. I think we have been hearing this for quite some time. Maybe we are still here, but we need to also progress to the next level. When it comes to education, during this era, we are consuming and producing knowledge. I think we still do this. Yeah. But in the next era, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the current era, the innovation society. So education should be able to, this is the idea, empowering education to produce innovations. So again, the word innovation will come so frequently in this era. So not only just producing knowledge or using knowledge, but also how can we use this to create innovations. So maybe we can spell this out. We can bring this to the national platform, the importance of this. Okay, the next one here, just an example. An example of, for example, like we are developing a program. If, for example, we're planning to open a program in civil engineering, that's when I'm from, civil engineering, for example. Should I only learn about civil engineering from the beginning, the first year until the fourth year? When it comes to Industry 4.0, I think that will be outdated. I will be misplaced because at the end everybody using technology that I'm not aware. So I think this is just one of the examples when it comes to developing a programs at the university level that relate or respond to Industry 4.0. The first year doesn't have to be actually gradual in terms of year by year, but at least we need to provide multidisciplinary inquiry to the students. The students not only focus on the specific area, but they need to have a broad understanding of different disciplines. Liberal studies and foundation, this is also very, very important. For example, like managing economy, about global informations, about, that's, I think, everything connected. So liberal studies also still needed. And then the core business and technology, this will come in. So we can put a lot of civil engineering in that area, but without ignoring the other first two. And then to progress for the future, we need to have future specializations. So civil engineers need to have some understanding about financial analysis, technology, business, analytics. All of this is an option that related to Industry 4.0 that make our students aware and be able to utilize it. So those are the options. I don't know whether it becomes elective courses or something, but I think this is something that we can start thinking that we need to offer these courses in addition to the core that we have offered at this moment. But in the context, these are the courses, but we need to provide context. What should a campus or university provide the context? The first context is social emulation. So meaning that the students should be able to engage, emerge with the community, for example. Activity like pengabdian masyarakat, for example, this is still very important to link them with the community. Innovation and venture creations, study abroad programs, because now everybody can move very easily. We can go to KL, very cheap, Air Asia, so a lot of traveling. So I think now it's time for us to provide opportunity for students to exchange in Malaysia or Singapore. so that they have an understanding of working with a different culture. Learning by doing and practitioner's perspective. All of this, again, is also to prepare them for employment, because without this, I think they feel like a little bit behind. Yeah. So this is just an example of a program that we can respond to Industry 4.0. Okay. This is just one model about how the students should learn in response to Industry 4.0. The 5 I's. Imbibing. Actually, this word actually being used when you do a lot of drinking, meaning that the student need to be able to absorb so many different things, internalizing the basic concepts to different sources. Right now, I think you can see the student always looking at the mobile phone, laptop. Information is from everywhere. So let them explore. Let them get as much information as possible. But not only at that level, the students should be able to go to the next level, which is iterating, which is practical foundation skill rigorously through fun and fun activities. Gaming. I think most of our kids now play games, but the games that also relate to education, that's something that can provide them with some information, that useful knowledge and experience. Interpreting. So interpreting here is taking facts from a study and applying them in different situations and adaptive alterations. So this is getting, I think maybe we heard about high order thinking skills. So after we know, and then we be able to understand the foundations and do the practical skills, and then how can they interpret in different contexts. Based on that, at the end, we'll create interest, love of what they are doing. And sometimes this is difficult. They feel like studying is a task, studying is a burden. But if they do this process, we hopefully create love, create interest in the studying. Because without love, innovation won't happen. So developing enough curiosity about subject is to develop deep and create further body of knowledge. So at the end, the student can also contribute to the development or to the body of knowledge, not only just the users. Because of their love to do, at the end they really like to do, and they can produce something different. And the last point is innovating. And this is the most challenging part, but this is also something that we need to prepare our students. Think differently and come up with original concepts and build innovative ideas, products, and services. So this, in a way, is an approach of learning that maybe the students in this era need to be familiar with or accustomed to. Now let's talk about TVET, or applied higher education, we like to call it. So what happened when Industry 4.0 is really happening? This study has been done a lot in developed countries like Germany. So what happened, you can see here that the soft and hard skill is still important. These two skills are important still. But again, the professional and technical and vocational is getting more important. But this skill at the end affect the occupations. Occupation that before we call it maybe carpenter, maybe they won't exist as carpenter anymore. So there will be a merge of occupations. So the occupation that we already have based on the ILO occupations, this may change because of this technology really happening. So be aware and be ready that there will be a merge of occupations, or maybe there will be new occupations, and maybe some of them are still same occupations. So these are possibilities when it comes to occupations. Sectors. You can see that in these regions, we know that service sectors is growing. When it goes statistic, always services is going up. Sadly, manufacturing normally is going down, even though manufacturing is considered the most robust kind of occupation, because even though there is economic crisis, normally occupations can stay, survive. Using high tech in various sectors. It's something that I think is already happening. This is, I think, relevant to all of us, that at the end, this will affect the way the programs offered, the curriculum contents also will be affected, teaching and learning environment and processes also need to be improved and enhanced. Okay, move to the next one. When it comes to the soft skills or the 21st century skills. And I know we talk a lot about this, but it's not easy to do because it takes longer time. And this is not only the responsibility of higher education. This should start from primary, secondary. I don't want to go very detailed, but this is, I think, is useful information, like sense making. I think we read very recently the news about that Indonesian students, very sadly, even though they can read, but they don't understand. You know that news, right? Very, very big news in Kompas, and you read that. Because we teach our students to be able to read fast, but when it comes to understanding, internalizing, they don't have that. So this is, I think, is very, very, very important to emphasize the importance. Maybe we have to put too much information to our students that there's no time for them to digest and rethink so that it can be reflective. So sense making, I think, is key. And this is, again, in Industry 4.0 also very important. Social intelligence, I think I don't doubt for those living in Yogyakarta, the communication among others, I think is very good. I think social intelligence, I think can be very high. Novel and adaptive thinking. So novel and adaptive thinking. When it comes to thinking, this is something that we need to put more emphasis. Yeah. Transdisciplinary. I think remember about the curriculum 2013, about the integrated curriculum. This is actually good when it comes to this because students learn from the context, not individual courses, but it's not easy to implement it. Design mindset. How can our students have design mindset? They know how to plan things. Cognitive load management. It's for a little bit higher level of education. Cross-cultural competency, understanding others, respecting others. Computational thinking. I think in general, computational, I think is quite good, I guess, right? New media literacy. So knowing the new media with different kind of gadget that we can offer. Virtual collaborations. I think we are still lacking. I mean, we do a lot of WhatsApp, WhatsApp group messaging, but do we have very meaningful collaboration through online? Maybe if WhatsApp, there is also discussion that is also meaningful, also I think we can use it as a starting point, but I think we need to go a little bit further in terms of virtual collaboration because, again, we can also provide opportunity for them to collaborate with students in other countries. Yeah? And normally about WhatsApp, not all countries using WhatsApp. If you go to Thailand, less WhatsApp, they use Line. If you go to Vietnam, they use different. If you go to China, you use WeChat. So every place, every country, they use different social media. So we need to have maybe like using email and then knowledge platform. Under Simeo Voktek, we have also knowledge platform. We call it cvet.net. So this you can create a group and you can discuss certain things more academically. Yeah. Okay. Another soft skill or 21st century skill that needs some highlights. This the one that I put in circle is something that normally we are lacking. Yeah? Cognitive abilities, system skills, complex problem solving, process skills, social skills. You can see the changes time by time that certain skills will be needed more, certain things will be less. But the conclusion is that there will be a growing importance of cognitive skills, soft and hard skills, but declining importance of physical abilities. So the manual work will become less needed in the future because this can be replaced by automation. But soft skill, cognitive skill is still very important. Also similar to that, in terms of what other skills are important and still need some improvement is foreign language skills. But I think now the young generation is good in speaking English or Mandarin or whatever. Yeah? In my time, I can speak only Japanese. I started learning English when I was already finishing university. When I was not forced, but I also like to go to the US. That was the first time for me to really learn English. Before that, when it's university, I'm still like, I cannot really talk much about English, but because of that being forced, the conditions at the end, and we can provide this condition to our students. How can the campus become a learning avenue for them to learn international languages, not only Indonesian, not only Japanese, but also others. Yeah. Teamwork, also another important thing to consider. Yeah. Okay, I have a kind of, where is this? Yeah. I think most of us dealing with applied higher education, or even from TVET size at the lower level. Sometimes when we talk about TVET, we always say that, oh, we are lagging behind. Industry always leading. But we need to think now, critically, where should we start leading the industry? So we're not only just producing followers, but we can also produce leaders. So I think this, I'm just in a way proposing, if this is possible. Yeah. When we talk about TVET, normally in Indonesia we start at the secondary level. We have SMK, right? Sekolah Menengah Kejuruan. Even though before that we have all elective courses, but from SMK or SMK, there's already secondary TVET. Until we have the Diploma 1, Diploma 2, Diploma 3, Diploma 4. Or the same as undergraduate, bachelor's. When it comes to this low-level TVET, I think it's understandable that the graduates will work for company, for industry, or they can create their own companies. But normally, they still follow the trend of technology happening out there. So we always refer to the development in industry. But what about after? In the applied universities, starting for undergraduate above. I think this is a time for us to think that the courses, the curriculum, we need to put some innovation there. So that at the end, the student, the graduate, will be able to innovate and lead the industry. I know it's not easy, it's a big task, but I think this is something that we should look at this, because I think we are always behind the industry. So when look at this, the turning point from lower level to higher TVET maybe can start at the undergraduate or Diploma 4. But the turning point can change depending on the country, depending on the situations of the industry, but can move here and there. Yeah? But I think this is something that we need to start thinking. When it comes to university level, the innovation has to be more in that direction. So my proposition here is that the longer the TVET, the higher the degree of advantage for TVET to be the trendsetter for the development of industry and technology, thus requiring more innovations. So we're not producing only the followers, the users, but also creators and innovators. I think this is for the higher TVET. Maybe also in the rating and ranking, this is something also need to be included, because without this, I think we're not ready with Industry 4.0, the term innovation here. Yeah. So my conclusion here for this presentation, a few things. The first one, the use of sophisticated technology in industry has affected fast-changing future of work and jobs. I think this is common sense, nothing new, and not contradictory. Yeah? It's very easy, because now technology is everywhere. So this affects the kind of jobs, the occupation in the future. Second, digitalization as an instrument of automation will lead to a massive loss of jobs. I think from that presentations earlier, the net, we're still losing jobs, depending on the country and sectors. However, new jobs will be created, and workforce must be prepared and retrained accordingly. Yeah. So I think this is something that we need to anticipate. How can we make our graduates still can maintain their job or they can create jobs. Yeah. The next one is the hybridization, meaning there's a new emerging occupations that never happened before that we need to consider and be open, caused by the merger of different work processes to the technological development. This means that broad competencies have to be developed. So remember about the undergraduate program, the example of multidisciplinary, social sciences, all of those I think need to be integrated, because if we provide very specific, it's very hard for making our graduates survive in the years ahead. So that's the idea behind this. The next one is oh, I think I'm a bit behind on the screen. Have I shown this earlier? Not yet. Okay, so I'm sorry. So this is the one I just mentioned earlier. I'm just looking at my screen but ignoring the big screen. So these three things. And the last one, I think, is something that we need to be open, that the new occupation will arise soon. Yeah. The next one is on the, when it comes to TVET. So how can we prepare good quality TVET institutions? Either this is at the secondary or higher education. Of course, well-designed and relevant programs, industry collaboration is one of them. Yeah. Strong collaboration with industry, integrating 21st century skills, and dynamic and responsive to the new technology, and encourage lifelong learning. The lifelong learning, this is something that maybe we can improve, because I just came back from Cambodia, even though still developing countries, but they have a lot of center for lifelong learning. So anyone who would like to get their skill or knowledge recognized, they can go to recognized lifelong learning centers so that they can have a certificate. I think we do have few of those, like in construction. I used to be from civil engineering. We have a kind of a place for them to recognize their skills, but I think we need to open up more so that people can progress not only at the skill level but also at the professional level. Because in the future, the occupation will change. People need to get a new occupation certified, go back to workplace again. If we don't have this kind of testing and certifying centers, this also become an issue in the future. This one in response again, or in conclusion with the model that I just shared, the proposition, TVET at the lower level must be responsive to the requirement of the current and future job requirements, while higher TVET levels should be able to contribute to the advancement of technology, industry, and to be the trendsetter of industrial revolutions. This is again something that we need to see where we are, whether we are providing education for undergraduate or at the lower level. The higher we offer, then we need to have to put more innovations in there. The standard used to assess quality and worthiness of higher education should also reflect this range of emphasis. I think this is related to the rating and also ranking. Yeah? Because of these changes, so we need always be able to adapt. What kind of criteria, what kind of indicators that really reflect the worthiness of higher education, the quality of higher education, and should not be the same between lower and higher. Yeah. Lower level of applied higher education, relevancy, responsiveness to industry needs is important. So in this case, also employment is very important. For employment, I think whether it is lower or high is still very important. Yeah. While at the higher level, creativity and innovation should be given more weight and in the assessment. Some key characteristics that should be integrated in education, among others, as personalized learning. I think from the trend in the forum, personalized learning. So based on the big data, we should be able to provide different courses, different contents for every student. We need to create more the inquiry-based learning, problem-based, and project-based learning. These are a few things that I can share. Maybe later we can discuss to make this presentation more relevant to what we are doing in a daily life. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, and very good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Paryono. Is there a very urgent question in the audience right now that you would like to ask Dr. Paryono? If not, then I suggest we go. Oh, I see a hand there. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a microphone, or do I just come up to you? Could you stand up? Do you have one? Oh, please.
Oh, because I'm here, I'm higher.
Please identify your name and institution.
Thank you. My name is Suparto from University of Muhammadiyah Malang. And my first question is that about your presentation concerning the 5 I's in education. My simple question is that is there any example of the practice use of 5 I's in some educational institutions or whether universities or schools or whatever it is? One. The second one is about the soft skills. It seems soft skill is very, very big, so everyone can see it from different sides. You present here some kinds of soft skill that in certain extent might be different from some others. Let's mention from Kemendikbud, for example. And you are, I think, from part of the Kemendikbud. In Kemendikbud, it is very popular, or it was very popular, the use of 4 C's, right? From creative thinking up to collaboration, etc. But then you mentioned here a number of skills that is, in my opinion, is different. So actually, among those skills to face the Industrial Revolution 4.0, if we take in terms of priority, which one is number 1, which one is number 100, for example? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Suparto.
Yeah.
Pak Suparto, thank you for the question. The first one is in regard to 5 I's. Any examples? Number 2 is the soft skills. Yeah. The 5 I's. This is actually it's not a new idea, but put it into more structure. So whether there is any examples, we have some experiments that doing like this, even though many of this, some of them is happening in India, some of them are happening in Brunei, but to put the whole 5 I's in the implementations is in a way, for example, like I'll just give you an example, okay, like Polytechnic Singapore. They provide this, but not in chronological order, but at the end, also they'll be able to innovate. So I think I don't want to kind of restrict you that when we follow 5 I's, we have to follow exactly like that order and has to be exactly like that. But at least we can channel that the target will be creating a kind of innovative graduates. So what are the process? That from the very easy one, provide them with a lot of opportunities to absorb different kind of knowledge, and then let them internalize it, and then give them different contexts. After providing different contexts, then let them try also to implementing it, and then try to ask them to create something new. I think we use the term, for example, like problem project-based learning. This fit very well with this. Anyone using, I think project-based, we know, right? We create a project for the student to start developing what is the project, and then after that, they explore, get information from library, talking to people, and then come up with a model, then testing it, and then try to different. This actually is implementation of that. So it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but if we adopt like problem project-based learning, this basically also similar concept. But this one is not new, but this is try to relate with Industry 4.0, so we structure it in that way. That's the first one. The second one, this is very important, the soft skills. I conducted a study on the integration of soft skills in 10 countries of ASEAN. And we have a long list. We have about 35 list item of soft skills. And then all of these are important, but we have limited time. Which one should we integrate in our teaching and learning? So based on that study, at the end, after we conducted a lot of workshops, we conclude that all of them are important, but we don't have to put the same emphasis. Should we make all country, all program the same list of soft skills? No. Every program, every level, we need to select our own soft skills. That's why the autonomy for the teachers in the program to have a discussion among them to identify which one among those soft skills that is relevant for our students. So soft skill for primary school can be different than soft skill for secondary. Soft skill for maybe civil engineers will be different than soft skill for business administration. The beauty of this approach is that everyone at the end will be treated according to the soft skill that is needed most by them. But we are the one who decide. In Brunei, we have 7. In Indonesia, you have the 5 Cs. It's nothing wrong with that, but don't apply this for me, for my recommendation. We should customize it. That every program, every level, we need to select which one that we need to put more emphasis compared to others. So all of those, again, is important. So please, later when you go back, discuss among your colleagues in the same department, list that down, and select, and give score, which level. Because even though, for example, like communication is important, but maybe you just need it like at level 4. Maybe some is level 3, some is level 2, depending again on the programs. So this is the flexibility that we need to have, and also we need to create something that is relevant to the students' need based on the programs, based on the level. I think that's my initial. I hope if not, we can discuss further. Prapto, yeah.
Thank you very much. Then I think I would like to declare the coffee break will begin. Now, before that, some announcements. The first one has to do with sharing on social media. Because AppliedHE hasn't officially launched yet, we ask that the AppliedHE part you not share on social media just yet. In 2020 it's fine, but right now no. The other slides is probably not a problem, but just AppliedHE content. And then the second thing with the coffee break, it will be one floor below on level 3, and we will resume here at 11:30, so 10 minutes ahead of schedule. At 11:30 we will resume here with the next presentation by Dr. Ocampo. Thank you very much. Enjoy your coffee break.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm inviting you now to all proceed to the coffee break venue. It is on the first floor.
Oh, first floor.
Yeah.
Oh, I lied.
The refreshments, once again, are served on the first floor, and please be well informed that the next presentation session starts in 30 minutes, exactly at 11:30. Thank you, and have a nice coffee break.
If she finishes early, around 12:20, before, I will invite you. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Thank you. Very nice.